Hello and welcome back to BS Rugby. Welcome to the Sunday watch long. It is Dragons taking on Ulster down at a very wet and windy Rodney Parade. It is absolutely pissing it down in Newport today. But we're going to watch this game as always, and I hope everyone is doing well. Good to see so many people here already. If you are watching on YouTube, hit the like button, subscribe. It's free to do. We'll be doing watch longs, of course, next weekend with the Six Nations returning. If you're on Facebook or Twitch, make sure to follow as well. And all my socials are linked down below. But you're more than welcome. Get involved in the chat. Let me know your predictions. Of course, vote in the poll as well. And let me know how you see this game going today. Of course, as it is Ulster, there's only one man who could join me. And that, of course, is Stephen Somerville from Stephen Somerville Irish Rugby. Stephen, how are you doing? You well, mate?
Yep, all good, Brandon. I'm all good today, and Ulster were the Dragons, and hoping it's a relaxing game, but we have to wait and see.
We'll have to wait and see. And of course, we'll look at the teams and give our predictions a little bit later on. We're not too far away from kickoff, about a quarter of an hour or so. So looking forward to this one. And let's have a look who's in the chat. Stephen says Ulster by 12, fingers crossed. Has that been a little bit kind to the Dragons? Maybe. Just walking back to the house, the weather is horrific. I mean, it's awful all across the UK today and Ireland, of course, as well at the airport. So can't watch. No worries, Greg. Where you headed, mate? Let us know where you're headed. Are you on holiday? Or are you going somewhere a bit warmer? Let's hope so. Indeed. Oh, very nice.
Probably very nice. Because I know because I have an uncle and auntie and they experience a lot of hot weather there whenever they go there daily. So this is a guess, but tell us, Gregor. Tell us.
Yeah, tell us in the chat. Talking about the league, of course, Ulster currently third, but if they get a bonus point win today, they can go top of the table. Leinster, of course, won last night against the Ospreys. Dragons are 15th. If they win today, they can go above the Lions. The last time that they met was last season. They've not yet met this season. Last season, you may remember some of these games. Maybe not, actually, because these would have been in lockdown, some of these. The last time they faced was back in March 2021. Dragons losing narrowly at home 22-26, but then Ulster in the game at the King's Pan and winning that by 40 points to 17. So Ulster pretty confident going into this one. Stephen, talk to me about Ulster this season. How good of a season has it been for Ulster, would you say?
I think that the season's been kind of different to previous ones. If I can remember, whenever we won when we reached the European final back, I think 10 years ago, in 2012, that was an alright season, but we finished sixth. But it was still good. I'll never get why Brian McLaughlin was sacked at the time, but a year later, when Mark Thompson comes in, we top the table and we reach another final, but we just come up short. And after that, we were kind of stable for about a few years, and then we had that one season, I think, in the 17-18 season, where it all fell apart, and we had the situation with John O'Gibbs, and he took in charge for a few games. And then he wanted to go back to Australia or New Zealand for some reason. Didn't want to step at Ulster. He thought that Ulster were going in a direction that didn't suit his standards. And I heard that there were certain comments, that Ulster were going in a direction that, I don't want to get too much into it at the time because I didn't like the situation. But I think whenever Dan McFarlane came in soon after with his own coaching team, we've had that stability again. But what's different this season is I think I've seen Ulster going up another level, which I haven't seen it for a while. Like you look at the more homegrown players that have come through, Brandon at Ulster, that which we hadn't had for a few years, and we need that homegrown, to be fair. Like you look at Nathan Doak, you look at Michael Lowry, look at Ethan McElroy, look at James Hume, Stuart McCluskey. There's more homegrown players, and they're rising up to the occasion. I mean, if we win today, with the squad that we've got. If we get the bonus point, we go top of the table again. And but I've seen too, like I said, I've seen too much, and I can't just lower. I lower my stat. I treat every game as like a cup final, but like today, like the Dragons may have put out a weak team, but like I can never write anything off in rugby, to be fair, mate. So we do have Leinster in the next few weeks at home, which is going to be a big game, and so I think it's Cardiff before that. So I think for Ulster, before we get to the European quarter final, not the European quarter final, the European last 16 against Toulouse, that's a massive game. We're going to get them to get a home quarter. And also go for the United Rugby Championship. Like there's things there for Ulster to do, mate. And this is and especially with Jane Vermeulen and the likes of Demon, I can only see this Ulster team, not going back down. And that should be a negative, but hopefully as a positive going forward. You're mute, mate.
That's good. I wasn't saying anything interesting anyway. As you said, really positive season for Ulster so far this season. And as you said, chance to go top of the table if they do win today. The Dragons this season obviously have lost Jamie Roberts. He's headed to Australia to be with his family. He's playing for the Waratahs out there. And they have obviously named their squad. This is how the two teams line up. We'll go through the Dragons first of all, and then we'll look at Ulster, and I'll get your thoughts, Stephen, on it. So the Dragons line up like this. At fullback, you've got Josh Lewis at fullback with Jonah Holmes and Rio Dyer on the wings, and Nathan Owen and Adam Warren playing the centres. Sam Davis and Gonzalo Bertranu play at 10 and 9. In the front row, you've got Greg Bateman, Taylor Davis and Chris Coleman. Alongside them in the locks, you've got Joe Davis, Joe Maximu, and at the back row, Harrison Keddy captains the side, Ollie Griffiths at 7 and Dan Baker plays at 8. In the 16 jersey, we don't know who's there. It says to be confirmed. And I checked this morning and it still said to be confirmed. So we wait to see who's going to be there. But we do have Misaki Dodge, George Young, Johan Davis, Aki Seolu, Hugh Taylor, Hodru Williams, and Will Talbot Davis. That's the Dragons team. In my opinion, quite a weakened side. A lot of the Welsh boys obviously away. And when we look at the Ulster team in just a second, you'll see how much of the Irish boys have come back and how much of the international players have come back for Ulster. I think for the Dragons, keep an eye on Sam Davis, him at 10, very, very experienced Wales international in the past. Obviously, Jonah Holmes on the wing as well. Interesting that Gonzalo Bertrand, who's getting the nod over Hodri Williams, who, of course, has started for Wales as well at 9. And then watch out for Rio Dyer on the wing. I'm a huge fan of his blistering pace, similar to Rob Balakoon, who I'm sure we'll chat about during the course of the game. Rapid, absolutely rapid. Not sure if the conditions are right for him today, but we'll have to wait and see. Right, Ulster, this is how they line up today. By the way, there are 34 people watching, which is incredible for a URC game during the course of the Six Nations. And make sure to hit the like button if you're watching on YouTube. Subscribe as well, it's free to do. And of course, follow all the socials. And I'll drop a link to Stephen's channel during the course of the stream. Right, anyway, time for the Ulster team. So Rob Little plays at fullback with Rob Balakoon coming back from the Ireland squad. He's been released. Ben Moxon plays on the other wing. James Hume has also been released by the Ireland squad, and he partners Stuart McCluskey. And that's a really experienced partnership. They've played a lot together. Billy Burns plays at 10 alongside Nathan Doak. Nathan Doak, really exciting young 9. In the front row, then Andrew Warwick, John Andrew, and Tom O'Toole. And then in the locks, we have Kieran Treadwell and Sam Carter. David McCann and Marcus Ray are in the back row, alongside Nick Timoney, who captains the side for the first time. On the bench, then, we have Bradley Roberts, the Wales international, who, of course, will be joining the Dragons next season. Marty Moore, Matty Ree, and Ian Madigan. O'Sullivan is a... All right, I'm going to try and say this right. Is it Chuku? I think that's how you say it. Let's go with that. Shannon and Moore as well. And what's your thoughts on that team, Stephen? It's a very strong side, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, not so... You'd be surprised, but I'm not surprised because, like you said, that the players coming back from the Irish camp. But you have to realise as well that if you look at Stuart McCluskey, he has not a sniff in the Irish squad. Whenever he played Connacht, he didn't get. I think he started that game, and I mean, if you look at James Hume, he came off the bench for Ireland as well at the time. But it's good to see them back. I think I'm more pleased about the players are coming back from injury. Like you look at the guy, you can pronounce his name. I can't pronounce his name here, to be fair. But I'll call him Cormac. Like he's another homegrown player. I think he is, but he's another experienced lock that we will need going forward. Like I think we hyped him up to the start of the season, but unfortunately he got injured. But that's good to see him on the bench. It's good to see Stuart Moore back with to get more depth in the centres. I heard Jordy Murphy is back, but he's not on the squad. I think that's mad, but it's good to have him back. Yeah, I mean, I think it's the best squad we can put out so far. And yes, there's no Julian Vermeulen. He's probably being rested. To give David McCann that chance. But yeah, I'm overall happy, and I'm hoping that they can do the job today.
Yeah, definitely. Let's get through some of your comments. Is Stephen wearing a 09 jersey? Is that from 2009 or?
Actually, to be fair, it is actually from 2009. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not.
It's not the year that Ronan Agara got the drop goal against Wales. I think it was, wasn't it, to win the Grand Slam?
Yeah. Oh yes. I mean, I remember it well. I was only about 10 at the time, and I can remember it so clearly. Yeah, that's why. But I don't know what age were you, Brian. I think you were similar age, but probably
Yeah.
you kind of feel sorry for what you would have had to experience at the time.
We'd won it the year before, so it was someone else's turn. So I'm not too bad.
Yeah.
Are there any subtitles? I don't know. Maybe if you go on YouTube, you might be able to. Don't worry, Mark. I'll have a look at it and see if I can do something about that. But plenty of rugby has already gone on this weekend. I'm sure we'll get into it. We'll probably chat a bit about the Six Nations as well and get into that. And I'll take you back to Paris, Stephen. I'm sorry, but I'm sure we'll get into that game and what happened there. The game is about to kick off. Welcome everyone in. Subscribe as always, of course. Predictions for this one then. The win predictor is saying 77% in favour of Ulster. So, Stephen, what are your predictions? Ulster by how much do you think?
I mean, it depends. We'll win the game, but I think it's going to be a very, very dodgy game at the same time. I think because I watched some different sports called Gaelic games over here in Ireland. There was this game played yesterday. I watched on Premier Sports, so I did, and it wasn't great, to be fair. And if you look at the weather today over in England and Wales, it's very more worse than what it is over here in Northern Ireland. I don't see this as a spectacle, to be fair. But I do see Ulster kind of winning it, like in a way that's sort of very bad conditions, but just I would give it about we'll win by maybe 10 points at best. Like,
is that it? Wow. So what's your score prediction? Can you give me a score prediction?
Yeah, I'll go by 2010. 2010.
Oh, okay. I think Ulster will win by more. I think in the first few minutes it's going to be quite cagey. I think it's going to be because of the conditions. We're going to see a lot of forward play, to be honest, potentially quite a bit of kicking as well. I think that I'm going to say Leinster by 15 to 20. I'm going to say Leinster 30, Dragons 10.
Ulster.
Ulster, not Leinster, Jesus.
You always get Ulster
30. That's the wrong team to say here. I'm going to say Ulster to win 30 to 20. Get your predictions in the chat. Dragons away was a dodgy game for Leinster. It's not always an easy game. Hello to you, Kevin. Hope you're doing well, mate. Good to see you in the chat. As always, Mark is going for a Ulster 30 to 15 win. Ulster coming out in their away kit, in their yellow kit. And I'm sure Dragons will more than likely be in their home kit. The weather will play a massive factor. I think it will. I really do. I think it's going to be quite a big impact. Ulster by 40. So Kevin really backing Ulster to get a big win here. Of course, just to remind you that Ulster can go top of the table with a bonus point win in Newport today, and they do have a lot of the Irish stars back.
Talking about the whole bonus point, situation. I wanted to put this point up, and I think it's a good statistic to put up. If you look at Ulster's home games, I don't know much away, but if you look at the home games this year for Ulster, in basically every game, especially the European Cup, all of our tries have been bonus points. Like, is that rare? Is that rare to see? I
think it is, but I think it's credit to Ulster the way that Ulster are playing and how confident they are playing at home. I mean, I'll quickly have a look at the table now. Let me have a look at the table and just see at how many bonus points Ulster have got. And because, as I said, they have a chance to go top today, which is massive. By the way, the referee is Berardi, an Italian.
Oh my goodness! Did you just see that kick there that Dragons had just kicked off there? The most poorest kick I've ever seen.
It was pretty poor indeed. So if we're having a look at the table, then I think I'm a little bit behind you, to be honest. Yeah,
well,
I think I'm literally just kicking off now. I've literally just kicked off now, and I've just seen Sam Davis with that dreadful kick.
Yeah, do you know what? Let me know when you're at 30 seconds.
Okay.
And I'll pause it for you.
Perfect. It'd be nice if we could see a clock on the TV, honestly.
Oh, you'll get the clock before 30.
Okay, so I'm at 20 seconds now. So 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30.
Okay. All synced up.
There we go then. Perfect. So we got a line out here to the Dragons just inside by the 10-metre line of Ulster. The conditions already playing havoc already. But yeah, having a look at the table, I mean, out of the 10 games that Ulster have played, they've managed to win them with bonus points 6 times. So, you know, it's pretty impressive. Dragons trying to play early on here. There's actually a decent crowd down at the Rodney Parade today, which is good to see.
Especially from the Ulster support. I think that's the South Wales.
And obviously you've got the South Wales Ulster supporters, Chris, of course, who does the Ulster Rugby Roundup show on the Three Blog. Yeah, we saw him on the TV a second ago. Dragons have started really positively here, actually, going through a few phases. It is a bit slow, but they are trying to go through the forwards. And I think this is something we are going to see a lot today, is this slow play going through the forwards. But Ulster very quick up in defence. What do you want to see from Ulster in this opening? Oh, that's a lovely kick. Is that 50-22? It might be.
Yeah.
What do you want to see from Ulster?
I want to see a good start. Like there are times where Ulster in some games can have a very slow start. I hope that's not today, because the conditions are not good. It wouldn't surprise me if we would get off to a slow start, but I would hope for once it's actually a good one.
Yeah.
And as I said, we lost the line out.
Yes, Stephen Porter going for an Ulster win for 25 points to 12. Leinster struggled big time against Dragons. That was an awful game. I think it was like a 9 points to 7 or something like that. Did I see the Super Rugby over the weekend? I caught the Waratahs against Fiji and Drua, so I wanted to see Fiji and Drua's first game in the competition. I think people have to be understanding that it's going to take time. They're a completely new side. It's going to take time for them in that competition. And Leinster losing the second line out the wind, really causing havoc and chance here for the Dragons. 5 meters out now, going through the phase. You can see the weather is just really causing havoc.
Like, we have, for Ulster, have been very sort of like dodgy at the majority of the season with the lineouts. It has been good in some patches, but like you know, it hasn't been great this season.
Penalty though to the Dragons off their to Ulster, sorry, off their feet at the breakdown. So 3 minutes gone, still 0-0. And the wind is just horrific. It really is bad. Billy Burns sends it down.
Decent kick.
Yeah. A chance for Ulster really to have some decent possession, I guess, as well. If they can actually get the ball.
You have to say that's very, very poor from when I was Timney there trying to catch it.
So the line-out taken just about back on the Ulster side. Nathan Doak. First time we'll get to see him with ball in hand. How exciting a talent is Nathan Doak, do you think? How good can he be?
I think he's the future. I generally believe jersey off Cooney. He's going to take... I do believe he's going to take that number 9 jersey off Cooney. He's destined to be... It's destined to be his, you know what I mean?
And how long do you think until we see him in an Ireland top?
I might give it about another year. I'll give it another year. I know Craig Casey and Conor Murray are ahead of him, but the reality is when I look at Conor Murray and look at the age he's at, and I think Farrell wants to get him up to the 100 calf, I've seen no way in Murray dropping that number 21 shirt, or even dropping out of the other side. Which yes, you have to think that there's players better than Murray at the moment, like Doak. But at the end of the day, it's Farrell's decision, and I can't be bothered, criticizing it anymore. If Cooney doesn't want to play for Ireland, doesn't want to play for Ireland, that's fine.
What about someone, though, like John Cooney, someone who's been one of the best performing 9s in the URC for the last, 3 years at least? Or the wind caught that kick from Billy Burns. But there we go. But what do you think about John Cooney not being in the Ireland squad? Because he's been one of the best 9s in the competition, in my opinion, for a long, long time.
He should be in, but it doesn't surprise me because I've been calling him to get that number 9 jersey. But look at Gibson Park. Ever since the autumn, he's taken that number 9 shirt into his own, and I've got no problem with that. Even if you play for another province or another team, but you're playing for the country, and when you put on that green shirt, you're playing for the whole country. I mean, that's how I see it. And to be fair, I support the lads, and it doesn't matter who gets picked and who not. If they can do a job, they can do a job, and that's all I want to see. And So but having Cooney with Ulster during this period is really good, I think, especially with the games like Leicester coming up at the King Span, where you're gonna have the majority of a first team Ulster against a Leicester B team, but we know that team can actually maybe win the league. With the squad depth there is is incredible. I mean, I think so. Ulster have just got to focus on themselves, and they've just got to take every game as they go. And I think that's good. I think that's good in a way because unlike other seasons, we're really sort of doing it. We're actually sort of taking action and fixing certain decisions where we're seeing out the games, which I think that's only positive going forward.
It was like I remember when we watched the Clermont game together, and there was 1 minute where Ulster were absolutely flying. First 20 minutes, James Hume was running the game from 13, and then Clermont came back into it, and Clermont got a man sent to the bin, a penalty try, and then Ulster eventually managed to win it. That was pretty dramatic. And yeah, I think Ulster do have the squad depth now to compete in Europe and in the URC at the same time, which is in the past something that only a Leinster would have been able to do. But now Ulster have that squad depth. Like today, you can rest a Dwayne Vermeulen knowing that that's okay, because although the conditions have been really bad and maybe Dragons have had the best of the opening 7 minutes here, you'd still expect them to get the job done later on in the game. And let's have a look at some more of your comments. Does James Lowe start against Italy? We'll get into that later. We'll have a chat about the Six Nations and about how much rotation we think Andy Farrell's going to do for that game. I think Andy Farrell really likes Gibson Park at 9 because he plays the system every week with Leinster and he does it well. I think that is true. I think, obviously with Sexton, we don't know how bad the injury is. He missed that game against France. So we'll have to see how bad that injury is. Dragons here, though, just outside the 22 of Ulster.
Really doing well here, Dragons, to be fair.
Yeah, they've started well, haven't they? But again, it's a tough one to judge because the weather is like you just don't want to risk anything too much, do you?
They're doing well, but I think they have to get a score.
Yeah.
They get a score on the board. They have to win this game.
And I think, do you think because of the weather, it changes the way teams would approach the game? So instead of going for 3 points where the wind might be awful, so you can't, that teams will go for the tries more?
I mean, if I'm in that position, like, whenever I was playing schools rugby, back in the day, if there was ever if there was ever a very windy day going, and I was obviously kicking at the time, and if I can remember, I just remember going to the captain, I'm not kicking this, it's far too windy. So, yes, it is a risk if it's very windy to take kicks, in my opinion. You can't. I don't think you can take that because it only costs you. Unlike if it's not windy, you can maybe take the points because it's not like it's not going to drag the ball not between the posts. And I think this is a game where Ulster don't have to kick too much, or even the Dragons don't have to kick much.
Yeah,
like Dragons will only get many points on the board if they want to take advantage of this Ulster side. But for Ulster, they'll want to get some loads of points on the board with a few tries because they want to get that bonus point and get back on top of the table.
Absolutely. So a bit of a scrappy start here in the opening 9 minutes or so. Line up to the Dragons just inside their own half. And a chance here. And they do win the line out. I think we're going to see a lot more. Oh, it wasn't straight. So chance here for Ulster. I am just about now going to drop a link to Stephen's channel in the chat. Do head over there and subscribe to his channel. Subscribe here if you haven't done so already. I'm sure there'll be a match reaction. There are reactions after the Six Nations games, previews, all that kind of stuff. And he's very close to hitting 400 subscribers. So do head over there and subscribe. Let's have a look at some more of your comments. Harlequin's back on winning track again. What a good performance against Wasps. I didn't catch the game, but I saw the result. And London Irish getting a big win against Saracens yesterday as well. Last minute kick. Paddy Jackson getting the winning kick there. How was the Ospreys game yesterday? Oh, it was painful. No, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I thought defensively we held Leinster out for a lot longer. They had to really fight for that bonus point. Reece Webb just tried really, really well. But we just didn't look after the possession well enough. I mean, the conditions were awful, so we just couldn't hold on to the ball. Leinster were struggling to hold on to the ball as well. But in the end, Leinster's class just came through, and I think that's what I was expecting to happen, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, last night as well, Scarlets lost against Connacht. Connacht got a man sent off as second yellow.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, there we go. There's the comment there. Went to the Scottish Connacht game yesterday. It was so frustrating to watch. So many hours, both by Scots and the referee, who scored like 10 tries. I think,
I mean,
the red card. What did you make of the red card? Did you see it?
I mean, whenever I look at that now, if I'm like the opposite team, but I see the opposite team, but I see the other team get a red card, I can never get confident because you know why? They play this block where it's so defensive. I see this in football too, right? And so they're taking this approach where it helps them out. It doesn't like if they get like whenever he's gone, they have to take an approach that they have to defend it if they ever like I saw. I think there was a game where I think Ulster would have went down to a man. It nearly ended up costing them in the end. So at this point, teams at the moment are very. Oh,
sorry. I thought for a second there, I was like, he's leaving that bit late. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think if people are going to get red cards now, they should feel positive about it because at the moment it's working out, and unlike the past, which I think it doesn't help the team with 15 men because it'd be so frustrating for them at the same time.
Yeah, it is. In the game yesterday, I mean, I did think it was right to give him the red. But again, the problem with this weekend is we've seen an Irishman referee the Leinster Ospreys game because of the weather, and then we've seen a Welshman referee the Scarlets Connacht game because of the weather. And so people think there's something going on there. I don't at all. I just think, referees are impartial. They're just paid to do their job at the end of the day. But Scarlets really should have won that game, should have made more. With that game. Scrum here to Ulster, though, on the 5-metre line. And their last scrum looked very strong. And we're going to have a reset of this scrum.
That's always a good one.
It's been a scrappy opening few minutes. We're just seeing Rob Balakoon on the screen. He hasn't really touched the ball at all yet. No. But you want to see him with ball in hand.
You hope we get better. That's all I want. I also going to get frustrated because I don't want a boring game.
Yeah. And let's have a look at this comment. Brilliant comment. What do you think about Dwayne Peel? I think he's an all right coach. Predominantly comes down to players making critical errors, costing this game. Maybe more time is required to finesse games. I think, obviously with the last coach, you had Brad Moore came in. He left all of a sudden. You've had Glenn Delaney. Dwayne Peel has come in, new head coach, very different. Well, not very different style. Wants to play very similar to the way Pivac wants to play with Wales in an attacking sense. I just think it's going to take time. It's just going to take time. And with all these Welsh players being away, of course, the situation in South Africa, it's just going to take time. This season is just a foundation season, very similar to when Toby Booth came in for the Ospreys. I'm an Ospreys fan. So when he came in, he set the basics, got the fundamentals in place, and now we're probably the stronger of the 4 regions. Not that that's saying much, but we probably are. But we've got our foundations in place. Here we go. Nathan Doak does get it out. McCluskey coming in on the big line there.
Go on, move the ball.
Slow ball for Ulster. They'll go through the forwards.
Come on.
2 meters out now. And this is where the Irish provinces in general are just so good. The speed of ball at the breakdown and just the pick and go. We see it week in and week out with Leinster. We saw it yesterday with them, and Ulster can do it as well. Dragons, though, defending really well here.
They defend decently well.
But it is a little bit on the slow side.
Oh, I think that's knocked on.
Oh, has it been lost forward? It has. So it's going to be a scrum to the Dragons, 5 meters from their own line, but their scrum has been under pressure. So, I mean, you can tell the conditions are just really affecting the game, aren't they?
I think we were lucky to get a bonus point in those conditions, to be fair. Like, wow. He didn't.
Maybe not protecting the ball enough there, but scrum regardless, 13 and a half minutes gone, still 0-0. I mean, you can just see the wind and the rain whipping around. And Rodney Parade is a very open stadium. It's not like it's enclosed. Like the King's Pan is fairly enclosed. The Liberty is very enclosed. Rodney Parade is just open. It's just open on both ends. So the wind just whips straight through it.
I know it's not like King's Pan or Thomond Park.
Indeed.
Fair play to them fans for sticking in their chairs.
I mean,
look at the rain. Jesus.
I mean, you can just see it. It's just horrific. Yeah, when I used to play rugby, if the weather was like that, you might say, "Oh, I've hurt my leg. I'm not sure if I can play today."
Were you complaining all at the time?
Probably. Good scrum from the Dragons, though. Chance here to clear it downfield. It is sent downfield. I mean, the cameras are even struggling at this point. The chance for a bit of running rugby here.
At least the game's being played and not being rescheduled and not having a COVID issue.
I mean, the amount of games we saw with that. Let's get some more of your comments. Dan Pat Rugby, great to see you in the chat. I have recorded a podcast with these guys, which is on Spotify now, about Italian rugby. And also a video is going to come out about relegation and promotion on Tuesday with different countries, different fans from different countries. What do you think about the Treviso versus Glasgow game? Was one of the worst games. I didn't watch it, but I had it on the side while I was watching the Scarlets Connacht game. What did it finish like 13-3? Sounds like a horrific game.
No.
Sounds like an awful game.
That's why I didn't watch it. I knew it was going to be poor.
Yeah. But, you know, Treviso going the right way. They've improved so much, and we spoke about that in the pod. So if you want to check it out, I will drop a link in the chat throughout the course of the show. And you can have a listen to that. What do you think about thing needs to be done to save the regions? One up north, how many regions should we have? I'll ask this to Stephen, actually. Stephen, in Ireland, what do you think makes the provinces so successful? Why does it work so well in Ireland?
It'd be hard for me to say if it was financially or something like that. I generally believe I'll start with Leinster. What Leinster produce is something that's, it's like I don't know if you watched Gaelic, but in the sport of Gaelic, Dublin are a city, right? Who develop players that are really world class, especially at a young age. And you look at Leinster, they're producing players that I have not seen that are really producing on a high level. Like look at what's his name, Jack Dunn, or look at Ross Maloney, or look at maybe Kieran Frawley. They're coming through already. They're showing me that they could be already our international quality. Yeah. Like Kieran Frawley could literally go into the centres and he could literally have a good game against England, maybe, or Italy, or say Scotland. So Munster, Ulster, and Connacht are doing stuff this season that I haven't seen the Irish provinces kind of do for a long, long time. And that's sort of taking their league into their own. And I don't know if that's a bizarre statement to make, if the Irish provinces are much better than what the rest of the provinces are doing over in Wales, Scotland, or Italy and South Africa are doing. I think this is the best, sort of stuff that I've seen from the four provinces. Really take that to a high level, and that's helping the international setup too. I think they all play similar to what the Irish team does, and I think that helps for this World Cup plan that we've got in a year and a half time, where we cannot ball any more quarterfinals, where we can't fall short at the same stage as we've done in the past. I think we're in a new decade. I think this Irish team, as well, the provinces are going in a direction where it could be theirs for a bit, but that depends on whether Wales, even South Africa, or even the Scottish teams, improve. But I mean, I think Edinburgh, apart from Edinburgh, who are doing really good, are up there with the Leinsters and the Ulsters at the moment. And you saw Cardiff. We saw Cardiff being Leinster a few weeks ago. Yeah, I just think they need consistency. I think for the Irish, unlike the Irish provinces, they do show a bit of consistency this season, which is very different. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I agree. I think the big thing you said there. Sorry if you can hear the wind here. It is going crazy at the minute. Hopefully it's not too disturbing coming through. But yeah, I think the thing about the Irish provinces is that all of them play fairly similar rugby. They all play, as you said, they play similar rugby, same style. The academies work so well. So obviously, no disrespect to the other provinces, but Leinster's academy probably is the best academy. But even if the players aren't quite good enough for Leinster at that moment in time, they go to an Ulster, they go to a Connacht, they go to a Munster. It doesn't matter. There's no feeling like this is our player, we want to keep them. It's about how can we best benefit Irish rugby as a whole. And I think here in Wales, we've seen maybe teams get a bit too precious over their players instead of allowing them to go and play and get experience elsewhere. Silent Wraith also asks about having a region in the north. I just don't see that happening. Again, rugby. I live in North Wales, so the closest professional club to me is Sale Sharks, which is 2 hours away. So that's the closest professional club to me. So it's a long way to go to see a professional team play. But I just don't know if the demand would be there for it. I mean, we got RGC, which is a semi-pro team. They play in the Welsh Premiership. They're doing okay this season. The under-20s play in North Wales, so we've already got that. I just think that I don't think it's as bad as people make out. And you're looking at some of the performances this season. Ospreys have got good wins against Edinburgh. You've got some players. You got Ospreys, as I said, you've got a good win against Edinburgh. Cardiff beat Leinster recently. Scarlets went out to Ulster and gave them a really good game, and maybe there should have been a red card in that game. Maybe not. I don't know. I won't annoy too many Ulster fans. I don't think it's as bad as people make out, but I think there needs to be a. It's so difficult to know. It is really difficult to know. But the thing is, it's never really affected the international side when they step up. And there are good young players coming through. I thought Jack Morgan, who got a star against Scotland, come through the Ospreys Academy, only 20 years old. I thought he was one of our better players on the day. So I don't think it's as bad as people make out. But the other big thing to remember is that these Irish provinces have been in place for years and years and years, very historical areas of Ireland. In Wales, the regions only came in 2004 and became professional. So you're saying all of a sudden that Swansea and Neath fans have to support the same team, where in past they were huge rivals. You're saying that Scarlets, in Llanelli, all of a sudden have been moved from Llanelli's team all the way to the Scarlets. An attempt at a drop goal there, but the conditions certainly weren't making that. Still 0-0, 20 minutes on. But you look at Cardiff, then you got Pontypool, Pontypridd, all in that area, and all of a sudden you're saying, right, if you want to support fully professional side, you're gonna have to support Cardiff now. Some people just buy into that. I was a little bit too young to fully understand that, but my grandfather was a Swansea supporter, but he moved on to the Ospreys when that change happened. But I know there were other fans who just couldn't do that. It's just going to take time, isn't it? And I mean, talks of merging different regions together, I'm not a fan of that. I think keep the 4 regions as they are. I mean, I wanted to talk to you actually about Bradley Roberts. Of course, he's on the bench today, but next season he is joining Dragons from Ulster. So the Dragons are making big signings. JJ Hanrahan is another one who's going to the Dragons next season. Hodri Jones is joining from the Ospreys. So they are making some really good signings over there. I'll get to some more of your comments quickly now. I mean, the game is just all over the place at the minute. Still 0-0. But hopefully we'll keep you okay. I think because they're already the 4 policies, so they didn't have to make new vignette. Yeah, that's exactly what we said. How can you say Llanelli should have won? Officials were disgraceful. They kept Llanelli in the game all night. Be truthful and call it. So I'll talk about hometown decisions, and you all know better. I thought Scarlets. The reason I said that was because Scarlets had the extra man, didn't they? I'm not saying that all the calls are right between the game, and of course, game of opinions. But I do think that Scarlets, with that extra man, should have done more with it. They should have done more with it.
Yeah.
Credit to Connacht. They went there. They got the result. Andy Friend, I think, is doing a really great job down at Connacht. And I think they are a very good side. But when you've got the extra man for that long, you should be winning the game.
Like if I could talk about Connacht for a minute. If you look at the Connacht, you were talking about like Cardiff, the Dragons, the Scarlets, and the Ospreys are all 4 teams, but the north of Wales, is kind of very separated, and you don't really know who to support. When I look at now, Connacht, that represents the whole province. That's what it represents, compared to the Wales teams. But what I've seen with Connacht is since 2016 to about now, I think unlike the Dragons and I don't know if Cardiff counts, I think Connacht have shown more than what them 2 teams have done to really show some balls and keeping that consistency. In my opinion, I think this is the best Connacht side that I've ever seen in my life. To be fair, and if they can get to another title that in a few years, then you have to think that that promise is on the up. Whenever I look at the Cardiff and I look at the Dragons, like you just think when are they gonna do something like that? Do you know what I mean? I think they're gonna have to show something like that with Connacht if they really want to get the pound faces. Because what I've seen from the Dragons and the Cardiff Blues is Cardiff have done slightly okay than the Dragons have done, but the reality is if they really want to get to what Connacht done, they really have to show like the miss. And at this moment in time, unfortunately, I just don't see it.
Yeah, I think the big thing for the Dragons is have always been the weak of the 4 regions here in Wales. The not the least funded, but the least amount of revenue coming in. And they've always struggled the most. But I think now under Dean Ryan, they've got a coach who has done really good in the past with different clubs, very experienced, has a very simple way that he wants to play the game and understands that. And with the signings they've made next season, now is the time to deliver. You know, with JJ Hanrahan playing at 10, Hodri Jones, an international prop in the front row, Ross Moriarty, Aaron Wainwright in there. Oh gosh, who else have they signed? Bradley Roberts, the hooker from Ulster as well, coming in. Will Rowlands as well. They've got a really good team. And next season, there really is no excuse for that. You know, they have to be competing. They have to be doing better. They can't be the second worst team in the league anymore. You can't afford to do that. You know,
but here's a question. Here's a question I wanted to put out to you about that, because when we see South Africa coming into this league for the first time, and we've seen them in their first few games, probably about their majority of their internationals whenever they came over here, in like say the autumn time. The interesting question: how do they do when their internationals face up against Leinster, Munster, or Ulster, or even a Scarlets or an Ospreys? Like, how do you see their internationals from South Africa, from the Stormers and the Sharks, playing up going forward?
I think the Sharks will be very, very strong. They've obviously announced this week that they've re-signed Eben Etzebeth for next season, so that's a huge signing for them. And then you look at, you know, they've got the likes of Sia Khaleesi in there, Lukhanyo Am. They've got some great players in there. I think the Sharks will be very strong next season. I do. I think they will be right up there, competing at the top. Whether they'd be able to beat a Leinster or an Ulster, a fully strong Ulster or Leinster, I'm not quite sure yet. But I think against the likes of the Ospreys, I mean, this season they've already beaten us, and I think they could, you know, be the best of the rest alongside. You know, I would always expect Leinster, Ulster, Munster, and there's always one other team up there, either a Glasgow and Edinburgh this season, or in the past, it's been the Ospreys who have been up there. I think the Sharks could be that team that are also up there, pushing those teams. And you know, with COVID, it seems, cross fingers, going now, and life getting back to some form of normality. You know, and they could really make their home ground a fortress, a really tough place. Of course, they're playing in Europe next season, which is a whole nother debate. Which I don't know if you want to get into that, but I'm not the biggest fan of that. But I think the Sharks will be very strong. The Lions, I'm not convinced by at all. I don't think they're particularly that great. The Stormers have shown glimpses. They got a really good win at the Dragons, and they went to Benetton and drew a few weeks ago. And then the Bulls, again, I've not seen all that much from them, if I'm being totally honest. So I'm not really sure on what to make on them. This game is a bit all over the place. It's still no score. We played.
I'd like to see Burns again with another really bad kick.
It's difficult though. The weather is absolutely horrific, but in these circumstances, you've got to manage the game. You've got to play to the conditions. You know, like Ulster. You need to just go through the phases, be patient with it, know that their quality is going to come through. That line out is not straight as well.
That's 2, I think.
And and it's just getting more and more difficult. Back to the Scotland's Connacht game, we would have won if we actually took a chance and learned to tackle opponents. Falling off tackles is something that the Welsh regions have struggled with this season. In fact, it was Connacht's first win at Panca Scarlets. Just shows our decline. I didn't know that. So that's an impressive win for Connacht.
I'm sure that's a big win for their boosting, hopefully getting a playoff place. I mean, that's what Connacht will target, in my opinion, this season.
Yeah. So scrum to the Dragons, decent position actually, between the 10-metre line and the 22 of Ulster. Good shove coming from Ulster, but it does go down, but they do get it out. So here we go. There's a bit of space out wide. If they can get it there, Rio Dyer, good hands. Jonah Holmes, tackle just inside the 22. Chance here for the Dragons, though. This is the best package of play we've seen in the whole game so far, really. Dragons moving nicely.
Ulster haven't really done nothing apart from getting up that line there in the 15 minutes.
I never know, and good hands. Solid defence, though, from Ulster. Harrison Keddy, the captain, carries. It's a bit slow for the Dragons. The defence of Ulster can come up quite easily to this. Maybe looking for a penalty here. And Evan Owen carries again, tackled by McCluskey.
Oh, good defence. Good defence. Whoa.
Really nice defence that. And the ball has been turned over, knocked on, so scrum to Ulster.
Scrum, no.
Really good defence there from Ulster. And
we just need
still 0-0, 28.5 minutes.
We need to get a score. We just need to get a score.
Could we finish 0-0 potentially?
Oh my god, like a draw.
Good to see Rio Dyer with ball in hand there. I'm a huge fan of his. Lots of people are talking about him coming up to the Wales squad. Don't quite think he's ready for that level yet. But I think he's a really exciting talent coming through.
Yeah.
So
let's
let's talk about it then. That game in Paris, of course. We got to get to talk about it. Let's talk about the first half first of all. Then, obviously, France went into the lead, were comfortably leading. What went wrong in that first half? Do you think was it just that France were too physical?
I think they got off to a very good start, and I think the crowd had a big part to play in it because, yes, Mark Hansen got a try for Ireland. That he might have been a flick or not. He caught the ball very well, and got us back into it. Like if we didn't get that try, it would have been like 19 points to 0 at half time. Like it was very poor from Ireland in the first half, to be fair. And you just followed up a point. I think France are going to go on and win this game by I don't know how much, but it looked like the scoreboard would have been taken over. But the second half, fair play to Ireland, they came back into it. They showed something that they can actually compete. You know what I mean? And that helps the Irish team go forward because they'll learn from the mistakes. But especially what was so weird was whenever I'm sure you know this. Whenever we got a penalty, we did, and we had the option to kick it, or we had the option to go for touch. I was saying go for touch because you have to get into the lead anyway. But what does I don't know if it's James Ryan or who was calling the penalty, but we went for the kick, and I'm just going, why are you going for the kick in Stade de France where France are not going to give you an option. They're not going to give you pace, and that kind of causes the game, in my opinion. Brandon, and especially that forward pass from Jack Carty. You know what I mean? It just nerves got to him. But I think the reality is France were the better team on the day. But for me, if Ireland make sure that they want to do that again, they need to make the right decisions going forward. Whether that is Sexton or whoever's doing that, he has to make the right decision.
Yeah, I agree. Ulster almost getting something going there, but then knocked on the ground. I agree with you. I thought France in the first half were brilliant and physically strong. I think actually the thing with France that would annoy them is that all the tries that Ireland scored, they took them well, yes, but they were mistakes from France, like the Matt Hansen one. Someone just has to catch that. The Gibson Park one, someone should be there to cover that pocket of space. Good awareness from Gibson Park. With that game against Italy, then, would you like to see Andy Farrell change the team a lot? How much change would you like to see? Would you like to see someone like Rob Balancune get a start? Maybe James Hume get a start?
So I would like something similar to when we faced Argentina a few months ago. I would give Balancune the option to start. I would maybe give James Hume a chance along with either Hanshaw or Aki, and I would keep Keenan at fullback with 11. Well, number 10. I would stick with Carberry with Gibson Park, in my opinion.
You wouldn't give Michael Lowry a go at fullback?
Because the reality is, how much change do you make? I don't think much change is helping them going forward the side. You need to build a winning side, especially when it's going to come to the World Cup. You want to keep that team fresh, and you want to get them to know each other well, and you don't want to keep chopping and changing every time. I think we've done that too much. And yes, I would like to see McLaren get the option. I think yes, if I was to pick Larry, I would pick him at 15. But I wouldn't want. I would not want to change maybe 1, 2, and 3. I would keep. Now we know Ono Ronan Callagher is going to be out for the rest of the remainder of Six Nations. I'd bring in Rob Herring to start now going forward, along with Andrew Porter and Ty Furlong. I would start that. 4 and 5. It's an option to give Ryan Byrne a chance. I don't know, maybe, but I think I see an Ian Henderson coming back in alongside James Ryan. I don't think James Ryan drops. Especially with Sexton going to come back, you're going to need as much leadership as you can. I see O'Mahony starting.
Well, that's the question there. What would be your back row for the game?
O'Mahony. I start O'Mahony with I don't know if you give Timney a chance maybe, and there's the option you could start Gavin Coombs, but I would think Gavin Coombs would be on the bench. I think Doris or Jack Conan starts number 8 again. And I think to be honest, I think I see Josh Van Fleur get number 7 again. It's going to be very, very similar. I think to Argentina's lineup a few months ago. So I think it's a bit of a change, but not too much in my opinion. I think that's how I see it going.
Yeah. Chance here for Ulster though. They've gone to the corner after winning the penalty. Yep. Decent kick into the corner there. So chance pretty much near the end of this first half to get the first points of the game. What would you be doing in the backs? Would you be saying Conor Murray gets to go, keep Carberry at 10, do you think?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Craig Casey maybe at 9.
Well, you could give Casey a start, but like I said, I'm going to keep saying this because I think Gibson Park is making the number sign his own. And yes, it's like, I get it. If you do need to make changes, you have to make changes. But to be fair, I don't want to change too much, Brandon. In my opinion, I don't think changing too much is going to help going forward. We've seen it too much in the past, and you need to keep that one inside to give her, and especially get that World Cup. That's all the whole focus we were on about. I would keep Gibson Park in, to be fair, but I would definitely have Craig Casey maybe on the bench.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I like Craig Casey a lot. Adds a lot of spark to the game, doesn't he? And yeah, that game obviously next weekend is in. Is it in the Aviva? Or is it in Rome? Dublin. So it's in Dublin. So very comfortable. You'd think at home. There's a change here for the Dragons. An injury. We'll confirm who's gone off and who's come on shortly. Line out 1. So Taylor's on for Davis in the second row for Dragons. We'll line out 1 by Ulster here though.
Come on, Ulster.
Big chance here to do some advantage as well.
Go on.
The ball comes out. Lovely step inside. Nathan Doak is going to get to the line. Has he finished it? Has he got it down? No. Question is, has he got it down?
He might have got that down. I think he might have.
Can I have a check at this? And for the first time in the game, we've actually seen someone get over the line. Whether they put it down or not is something else.
Hopefully. But for I knew he would have got that over the line because he just saw it. He just saw it.
Yeah. The question mark is on the grounding. Did he get it down on the grounding?
I just need to see it again.
So they're going to have a look at it here. Perabdi, the referee, asking for the TMO. My initial reaction was that he probably has got this down, so I think this is going to be a try.
I think it is. I think when I saw how I saw it, I think it is a try.
So they are going to check it. So 33 minutes into the game, we might have our first try of the game. So here we go, Nathan Doak.
Here we go. Oh, is he held up?
Oh, has he got that down? I think that's been held up.
I think that's been held up. To be fair, I think it's been held up.
I think Rio Dyer has managed, or Sam Davis Sam Davis together. I can't see any clear grounding there, so I don't think that's going to count. I think it's going to be a scrum 5 to Ulster.
I don't think it's going to count.
Yeah, I think that's been held up. That's great work from Rio Dyer and Sam Davis, so it looks like we're going to have a scrum 5.
Come on, Ulster, get some points on the board here.
I mean, you still got a scrum 5, so you've got an opportunity to do something from here. So no try. And it's going to be a scrum 5.
It definitely held up. Can't deny that.
But you think if Ulster did manage to get something from here? Sorry, it's not a scrum 5. It's a 22. It's a in-goal dropout.
That's very weird.
Dragons. So of course, changing laws they brought in this year.
Oh.
Sam Davis sends it up.
Oh wow!
Oh, it's been knocked on. Oh. And again, the weather just really affecting everything at this point.
To be fair, it is the weather. He would, if it was a normal day, he would have cashed that.
Yeah. Even the Dragons players were feeling sorry for him. You could see that. Folks, if you're watching, by the way, and the game is pretty shit, but it is what it is. Make sure that you like the stream, you subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Twitch, to give us a follow.
Yeah.
But yeah, not the greatest game of rugby so far. whatsoever.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of glad I'm watching this and at home. It's nice and warm. I've got my drink. I've got everything. I would not want to be in the stadium watching this one. Scrum to the Dragons, though, on the halfway line. Big push coming in from Ulster there. Ulster seem to have the dominance there. So here come the Dragons. 5.5 minutes to go in this first half.
Come on. Another knocked on by the Dragons.
Did it come off his hands?
Yeah, that's knocked on.
Yeah, it did. So last chance probably in this first half for Ulster to create something. We just saw one man on the screen just for a second there. We saw James Hume on the screen. How good has he been this season? For me, he's been one of the form centres in the league. How good is he, do you think?
I think he has to be, at the moment, at the way it's going, I think he has to be Ulster's player of the season. I think he's really the future of that 13 shirt, and the partnership he's put alongside Stuart McCluskey is rekindled what Paddy Wallace and Darren Cave would have done, but hopefully even better, to be fair. So yeah, I think that's our starting fit centres. Hopefully they'll be fit for even Leinster, because we know Ireland are going to be playing England even before that game. I mean, imagine the atmosphere going into Ravenhill and Ireland beat England at Twickenham, and then Ulster beat Leinster go top. That'll be. But you would hope Hume and McCluskey are there. I would doubt it. I think Hume will be on our Ireland camp at the time. But but I think Hume is I hope that he stays fit. I hope Hume just stays fit for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think he's a fantastic player, isn't he? And him partnering McCluskey is exciting. And I think, he's put in 2 huge performances this season against Leinster at the RDS when Leinster won for the first time in however long. And then against Clermont away, he was just absolutely brilliant. The question here for you: Why would you start Herring ahead of Dan Sheehan for Ireland against Italy?
To be fair to Dan Sheehan, I think he had actually a good game, to be fair, against France, and to be fair, he actually did well. It's just, for me, whenever I look at Rob Herring, he's had more experience than Dan Sheehan, in the side at the moment. And when you look at Dan Sheehan's head, he is still young. When we look at Rob Herring, and he's very much an experienced line of 29 or 30 years old. I think when you look at Rob Herring, he started against England last season to win that game alongside Tyford, and I don't know if it was Kennedy, but even if Porter was there, I think Ireland will still won the game. I think for me, having Herring there, because Herring was actually the third choice. Dan Sheehan's been on the bench. I think for me, if you bring in Rob Herring for number 2, I think he'll have really good performances. But that's not me saying. I think he's more experienced than what Dan Sheehan is at the moment. And yes, I would totally agree that we have to grow Dan Sheehan as well. I think he's definitely in the future as well. We definitely have to grow more of the homegrown Irish players. And I think that's why Rob Herring was let out, because of the Irish thing. But yes, he's from South Africa, but Herring has played for Ireland, a few times. And if you have him coming in, like if Ronan Keller is your starting 2 for now, compared to Herring coming in, who would have been your starting, hooker last season, I would have no problem bringing in Herring, going forward in the Six Nations, in my opinion.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who they go with. A penalty against Ulster in the 22 again. This time at the breakdown. I mean, neither team can really get a foothold in this game.
How those fans must feel to see in this game right now, especially the Ulster's fans. I'm sure Chris is not happy. I think I have a bit to say when he comes back on the podcast about his experience.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see for sure. So we got a line out here to the Dragons. We got 2.5 minutes to go until half time. We're going to take a quick break at half time, and we'll be back. And I'm sure we'll start looking forward more to the Six Nations as well. Line out not straight again. So scrum to Ulster, and probably last chance in this first half to do something.
Yeah. I mean, what score? It'd have to be like anyone at this point. Who's going to get the first score?
Yeah, it might even be that, mightn't it? So we'll have to wait and see. So scrum to Ulster, 2 minutes out from half time, just over the halfway line, and I'm sure they'll be looking forward to getting back into the warm changing room.
Yeah.
So Nathan Doak to feed the scrum. Big scrum from Ulster. Surely a penalty for them. Advantage as well. Comes out to McCluskey.
Okay, we got the advantage. Come on, Ulster.
Billy Burns sends the kick through, but they still have the advantage.
No, they don't.
Was the advantage over?
It was
Must have
advantage
been.
over. Fuck me.
Here comes
Go on,
James
Hume.
Hume.
Go on,
Thomas
Hume.
Hume with
Go
hand in,
on.
ball in hand. Lovely run from him. Who's he got on the support? He's got Nathan Doak. Does he have the legs to get there? It looks like Ulster might score.
Oh, just
He's
hold up,
tackled just
just
before the
hold up.
line. Quick
But
ball is needed. They can just get it out
hey,
wide. And finally, Ulster get their first score of the game. And finally, we have a score in this match. Finally, something has actually happened. James Hume with a lovely break, and Marcus Ray finishing the try beautifully. James Hume just cutting through the defence.
What a player he is. What a player. Like, seriously. Like, he made that, didn't he? Because he gave it to them.
A lovely pass as well. Lovely pass to Nathan Doak. Couldn't quite get there, but then they just needed to get the ball quickly out.
Oh, yeah, did. And who
really
got the try? I think that's Marcus Ray. Marcus Ray with the try.
Yeah, Marcus Ray. Yeah, again, his try there. So finally, just before half time, we actually have a freaking score.
Let's go. Let's go.
So 5-0. James Hume, though, just the defence was so wide open, just ran straight through. Lovely flat pass out wide.
Oh, yeah. It's good. But if he's not in Ireland, it's good to see him playing for Ulster.
The referee is Andrea Pirardi. Pirardi is the referee. Enjoying it.
Oh, they can't take his eyes. They know who he is. That's why they keep on camera.
Right, so kick for this. Is going to be tough. This could be the last action.
John Andre has had to come over and help him.
So here we go.
Fair play if he can get this over.
It'd be a heck of a kick, especially in the conditions as well.
Wide.
And he's kicked it wide. So that is the half-time score. Ulster leading by 5 points to 0. Not the greatest game there, but probably you'd have to say, Stephen, that you'd say that just about deserving it.
At this, with the weather conditions, Mick, going on, I predicted this to be fair. I predicted this would be a very, very poor game. And at this point, wherever it's going, I'll take that try. As long as Ulster got a few points on the board, get a try, I go down to the half time, and I'll hopefully say to the Ulster players, just wake up and hopefully get a few more scores on the board.
Yeah, absolutely. And myself and Stephen are going to take a 2-minute break, but we'll be back in a second. And make sure if you're watching to subscribe to both of us. I'll drop a link to Stephen's channel during the halftime break, and get your comments and questions. Follow all my socials, all linked down below, and we will see you in a second. Don't go anywhere. Time in this fixture. I hope you are enjoying the watch along. If you are, please do hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel as well. It's completely free to do, and there is so much content coming out over the next few weeks with the Six Nations. Make sure as well that you follow me on all of my social media. It's all linked in the description. You can follow me there and keep up to date on everything that I post. I post all the time and give you updates on all things rugby. If you'd like to support the channel financially, that'd be massively appreciated, but there's absolutely no pressure to do so. You can do that via Super Chat, and you can do that in the live chat on YouTube. Not long to go now, though. We'll be back in a second. Make sure to keep it going in the chat. Let me know your thoughts on the game so far. There we go. We are back in this half-time down at Rodney Parade. Dragons are losing at the minute by 0 points to 5. Not been a classic at all. The weather has been absolutely horrific so far. So do bear that in mind. Hope you're doing well. Thank you. There's so many people watching today, which I'm quite surprised by, considering it's URC during the course of the Six Nations. But thank you very much for joining regardless. Great to have you along. Great to have your questions and your comments coming in over the course of the game. Make sure to keep them coming in the second half, and let me know your thoughts on that first half as well. Hit the subscribe button. By the way, if you have not yet done so, it's completely free to do. We're trying to hit 3,000 subs, by the end of the Six Nations. So please do hit that subscribe button. And as I said before, you can follow all my socials, all linked down in the description down below. And let's have a chat about some of the other games this weekend while we'll wait for Stephen to come back in. And let's have a look at some of the other games. I'll share my screen with you. And we'll have a look. So on Friday night, we were meant to have Cardiff against Zebra. But that game, unfortunately, due to the weather, was actually postponed. Of course, the storm Eunice wreaked havoc across the UK and continues to do so today. But that game was called off pretty early, I think on the Thursday. And we were going to do a watch on, but we did a Rugby 22 game instead, which was always good fun. But then, of course, we then had Munster take on Edinburgh. Both teams doing really, really well this season, actually, and doing really, really well. Really enjoyed that game for sure. On Saturday, we saw Leinster beating Ospreys by 29 points to 7. It was a cagey game. We did a watch on the channel last night for this one. It wasn't the greatest game in the world, I must say so, to be honest. And yeah, it was comfortable, wasn't it, in the end for Leinster. But Rhys Webb scoring a lovely try as well in that one. I'll see if I can share that. I'm sure I've got the link to it somewhere. Then we saw Scarlets against Connacht, a red card. Plenty of tries, plenty of moments in that game. But in the end, Connacht getting a first win at Padkill Scarlets down there. And then last night, we saw Glasgow take on Benetton. Glasgow winning that by 13 points to 3. Certainly not a great game whatsoever. Really was not a great game, but an important win for Glasgow, which lifts them to second in the table. So if we do have a look at the current standings, this is how it currently looks. So Leinster are currently top with 40 points, while Glasgow sits second on 39. Ulster, if they win today, could leapfrog Glasgow. If they win with a bonus point, which seems unlikely at the minute, really, due to the weather, they could go top of the table. Munster in 4th, Edinburgh in 5th, Ospreys down in 6th. You can see the gap between the top 5 and the rest of the league, can't you? There's quite a big gap there. And down at the bottom, of course, you have Dragons and Zebra as well. Looking at the stats from this game, let's have a look at the stats, how they're looking at the minute. And again, not been the greatest game, as I've said already. Possession has been in favour of Ulster. 1 clean break for, possession has been in favour of the Dragons, but 1 clean break for the Dragons. 3 defenders beaten and 3 offloads. You can see Ulster probably having a little bit more of the control of the game and looking the more likely to attack and score. The Dragons have had a number of territory, much higher territory, but again, not been able to do anything with it. I think that's because of the weather. The tackling success has actually been very good from both sides, 96 to 97%, although Ulster winning that battle at the breakdown, 3 turnovers, 1 to the 1 of the Dragons. So there we go. That is how it looks at half-time. And we will get you all in, get your thoughts in on that first half. And let me know what you make of it. And all the games this weekend, because there were quite a few games going on, wasn't there? And it was good to get back to some URC. I really enjoyed the URC. Obviously, it's the league that we watch week in, week out. And let me know who you support. Is everyone here Ulster or Dragons fans, or do we have a few other clubs? I know we've got a few Leinster supporters in the chat. I know James Cody is a Leinster fan. I'm pretty sure James is a Leinster fan. Yeah, he is. He's a Leinster fan. So let me know who you're supporting in the URC at the minute, of course. I'll be interested to know. Opinions on James Ryan. Has he become the scapegoat for when Ireland lose the battle up front? I think because he was the captain, wasn't he? He made the decision to go for the corner, to go for the post instead of the corner. The thing is, in the middle of a game, you have to feel the way the game is going. You got to You got to speak to your kicker. You got to speak to the rest of the team. Make that decision. It's a big pressure situation. He hasn't been captain for Ireland for lots of time. Obviously, usually that'll be Sexton on the pitch. Maybe Carberry was feeling confident with his kicking, not so confident going to the corner. But also, though, you do have to think that the fact that they'd gone to the corner and got that amount of success in that game, it was an odd decision. But at the end of the day, people always want to find someone to blame. And at the end of the day, France were so good in that first half that maybe that was enough for them in that one. Let's have a look at some more comments. Yeah, you say exactly the same. Stephen makes up, gets a lot of unfair slack, would move Byrne to 6 and Henderson and Ryan in the row. Yeah, Ty Byrne has been incredible. Doris at 8 for that game. It'd be interesting to see how much Ireland do rotate for that game. Of course, it's in Dublin, comfortable at home. You'd expect them to get the result there. Jack Boyle playing in the Ireland under 20 could be better than Porter. We'll have to see. Is he the brother of Paul Boyle, is it, who plays for Connacht? Let me know in the comments. And then, of course, next week we've got the Six Nations returning. There's plenty of games going on, obviously. We'll be doing watch-alongs for those games. So we have Scotland against France at 2:15 on Saturday. We'll do a watch-along for that. We'll try and get Kyle on for that, as always, get his thoughts on the game as we go through that one. And then we got England against Wales. Oh my gosh, as a Welshman, this is the game that I want to win. This is the game that I want to win. So, yeah, we'll watch that one, I'm sure, as well. And there are lots of games actually going on in the URC next weekend, so we might potentially throw a URC game in there as well if we have time to do that. We got a busy week on the channel. Got promotion and relegation special coming out on Tuesday. And I had a Georgian, an Italian, an Irishman, a Welshman, and a Scotsman on there. Sounds like we're walking into a pub, but we're not. We're not walking into a pub. But yeah, that is that's what's coming out. And then we'll have previews, obviously, heading into the weekend's games. I'm delighted to say that rejoining me is Stephen. The rain is still pouring down. We're just seeing Dean Ryan walking through with about 10 different coats on, trying to stay dry, probably not succeeding. And let's welcome Stephen back into the chat. Stephen, second half about to get underway. Do you think if Ulster were to get the next score, that would be it, game over, just because of the weather and how bad it is? Yeah,
I mean, I still think it's going to be the same. The conditions are absolutely atrocious over in Newport. For Ulster now, it's just getting the win. Even if it's not getting the bonus points, just about getting the win and making sure just keeping up with Leinster, especially in the table, as well as Edinburgh.
Yeah, definitely. So Ulster have just kicked us off here. Again, the conditions, I think the wind has died down ever so slightly. It doesn't look to be quite as windy as it was, but it's still pretty difficult. We just saw the wind predictor there coming up on the screen, and still Ulster 79% likely to win this match.
Yeah, well, you hope so.
Oh, charged down by Ulster from the box kick from Bud Chanu.
Oh.
So chance potentially here for Ulster.
Okay.
Nathan Doak gets it out forwards, carrying good defence here from the Dragons.
Come on.
Nathan Doak fires it out to Billy Burns. Looks for the kick. It's been blocked by the foot of the Dragons. It's bounced into the hands of Anavin Owen. So chance potentially at advantage. Shouldn't be in the
Dragons.
He came off his boot. I thought he came off his boot.
But it did.
Oh, and then knocked on.
So
again. Have they held on to it? Advantage to Ulster then from the knock on, and then Ulster knock it on.
Oh my God, it's madness.
It is madness. A question for you: your opinion on James Ryan? What do you make of him as a player? What do you make of him?
Oh, he's a really good lock. He's really good lock, and yes, he was inexperienced for what the decision he made last week. But he's only going to learn from it. Especially with the likes of Paul O'Connell, teaching him in the Irish setup. So, I'm not going to write him off. He's a good lock, so he is.
Yeah, definitely. The conditions. I said, I think the wind's died down a bit. It doesn't look like it's died down at all. Taking that first 2 minutes into context there. So scrum to Ulster. I mean, you can just see on the screen. You can see how the wind has been pushed across. It's pushed all the way across, the rain being pushed.
Yeah.
I mean, the pitch has held up really well. The Rodney Parade, they recently got a new pitch put in place. So it is actually holding up. In a few years ago, this pitch would have been torn to shreds. It had been in awful condition.
It's amazing how it's still going, you know, man.
Yeah. Good scrum from Ulster. Surely a penalty coming from this.
Well, it should be a penalty here, you think?
Deciding to get it out and kick downfield.
Decent kick.
That's not a bad kick. It's not a bad kick.
They'll come back
I think
for the
there
penalty,
was an advantage. Yes, there was an advantage.
Yeah, come back for the penalty.
I'd
go for touch. I go for touch here. It's far too. It's it's far too risky to take the actual kick.
Yeah. So looking likely that they will go to the corner.
Wait, hold on.
Nathan Doak seems to be asking the question.
He fancies it during the rain. No,
I was like, you fancy having a go at that?
But no, Billy Burns is like, no, mate, no, far too risky.
And Billy Burns, I do think the wind has died down ever so slightly. I do think it has, because kicks aren't flying around that much anymore. But we'll have to wait and see. So Ulster going.
Oh, just as he said. That's as he said.
So line out, first line out.
But the problem is he could lose it here because our line out hasn't been great today.
Come on, line out to Ulster. They do win it. Going to the front, probably the safe option. Driving more set up. The thing is, if Ulster could get another try, then they settle into the game a little bit more. Then we could see the tries begin to flow. It could happen, but again, the conditions are just not making it easy. That maul has been brought down by penalty though to Ulster. I think Baker penalised.
Keep going for touch. Just keep going for touch.
Go for touch again. Bringing down the maul.
Go on, Billy. Go on, Billy. Good kick.
So just about 4.5 minutes into this second half. Ulster starting strongly.
Good start, yeah, definitely.
And going to the front of the line out makes sense. It's just the safe option, isn't it? They win it again. Driving more set up. Good more defence from Dragons, but it's beginning to move.
Advantage, no advantage.
Oh, it's beginning to move here.
Go on, John Andrew.
Nathan Doak at the base of the scrum, 5 meters out here.
Go again.
Forwards are ready for it. Pick and go. Switches the direction of play. Go for the corner. Has he got there? I think he's just reached in touch there.
Unlucky. It was out. It was well out. I knew it was well out before he hit the line.
Yeah. There was an advantage. The referee has just had a chat with Harrison Keddy, the Dragons captain, for bringing down the maul twice now, straight after each other. So they've got to be careful. Ulster have gone to the corner again.
Or go for the scrum. And then go for scrum with a touch. He's at free. Let's hope it's a 3 out of 3.
So line out. So you think if Dragons give away any penalty here, you're thinking yellow card?
Yep. If you give away too many penalties, it's a yellow card. You're into the sin bin. Come on, Ulster. Come on. Go on, good line out. Come on, heave. Keep going, Andrew.
John Andrew, the ball at the back of this maul is willing to move.
Keep going, Andrew.
2 meters out now. Surely this is inevitable that we're going to see a try for Ulster. Is he at the bottom? Has he got it down? Yes, he has.
Come on.
Andrew gets the second try of the match for Ulster. And Ulster, we have to wait, 40 minutes for the first score of the game in the first half, and we've only had to wait 6 minutes for this one. Yeah. Ulster leading by 10 points to 0. And
it's a sign.
Beginning to click now for Ulster. And that was good patience from Ulster as well. Really good patience there. So Ulster leading by 10 points to 0.
Without doubt, because Andrew did well to keep the ball. And that's good. That's what's good about our driving wall so far. You know, even if you don't have a drain from him in there.
So Marty Moore is on for O'Toole in the front row.
Yes.
So that change has gone through.
Another good sub from Ulster to make.
Mm.
Because I think Marty Burr is our starting free. I don't think it's Tom O'Toole. I think Tom O'Toole is the bench player.
Chance for Nathan Doak to have the 2 points, but again, the wind is, I'm sure, going to have something to say about it.
It would not surprise me though even missed it.
But Ulster are kicking with the wind. They're not kicking into it this second half, which could make a big difference for them.
Yeah, unlike the Dragons where they failed to capitalise in the first half.
Yeah, very much so. So here we go, Nathan Doak.
Oh, well done, Nathan.
Oh, he's got it.
Done.
What a kick.
Well done, Nathan.
What a kick. He's judged that to perfection using the wind. Chris on our TV screens again. He's getting a lot of airtime.
I sent a message to him about it, and he, got a picture of him on TV.
Oh, brilliant!
And he came back with a thumbs up. So.
Brilliant. 12 points to 0 then to Ulster. Do you think that could be? Sorry, go on, Stephen.
No, it's okay. No, you go ahead.
Do you think that could be the change in the game now that Ulster need to go get those tries?
Oh yeah, definitely. Look, we've got good players on the bench to come on as well. Like they're capable of it, especially that Cormac guy who's number 19. Then you have Marty Burr to come on. You have Eric O'Sullivan. You know what I mean? Ian Madigan, Stuart Moore. Dave Shanahan. Yeah. That's good. That's good options to take on.
Yeah. Ian Madigan's been around for a long, long time, hasn't he? He must be what 30 now? 31.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, he's not even our 22 at the moment. I think it's Angus Curtis or it's even Stuart Moore doing the number 22 business.
Oh, it's out on the full from the Dragons.
Very poor kick from the Dragons there.
Yeah, very poor. Yeah, didn't you sign him from Bristol? I think it was.
Oh yeah. He wanted to come back to Ireland to play. He wanted to get back to Ireland to play rugby again, so we got the opportunity to do it.
Yeah. When was the last time he played for the national side? It must have been a while ago.
Oh, 2015.
I was saying here 2016. So, wow, 30 caps. Hodry Williams is coming on for Bertrand at scrum half. Hodry Williams, of course, capped by Wales. Not involved in the national team at the minute. But there we go. Good question here from Andy Bradley. Do you think that the regions should start from the beginning and only by the players you want to and by the best available players who want to play for the best team in Wales? I don't think that they should restart. Elliot D is on for the Dragons as well. That's a big player to bring onto the pitch. No, I don't think the regions should restart. Oh, kicked.
Dragons here.
By Hodry Williams. Where's that bounce of the ball going? Hodry Williams absolutely sent to the shops there.
Austria, a bit of pressure here.
Dodge is on for Coleman in the front row for the Dragons as well. That change gone through. No, I don't think the regions should restart. Start over again. You're starting then a process completely all over again. I think people just have to be patient and understand that, especially with the pandemic, that teams are going to struggle financially. It's just how it's going to be. And you look at the crowds in Ireland. So how many people can sit in the Kingspan, Stephen? Do you know?
God, I think it is 18,000. But the actual...
And most of the time it's pretty full, isn't it? Most of the time it's pretty full.
To be fair, if it was a very big game, it would be a sellout. Like, that's the only time Kingspan sells out, to be fair. I think the rest of the times it's 15,000 or 16,000.
Yeah, that's still an incredible number compared to the Ospreys who'd get 2,000 or 3,000. Bradley Roberts is on for Andrew, and O'Sullivan is on for Warwick in the front row for Ulster.
See, the thing is, with that, you mentioned about the Wales, not getting enough attendances. That's why the Irish provinces will definitely help going forward with the continued support of their fans, because that's how they're succeeding financially more than what they've done in the previous pandemic in the early days. But let's just hope that the Welsh nations do get some sort of help.
Yeah, I think that the brilliant thing about the Irish provinces is that they engage their fans in everything, and you feel like you're part of the club, and you feel like you're part of the success of the club, and you're important to it. I just don't feel like fans feel like that in Wales with their clubs.
It's a cultural thing. It's a cultural thing, mate. Over here, it's completely different to what England and Wales think of rugby. I think rugby over here is number 1 or number 2 on our lists because and it goes back to a long tradition of what we do here in this country, mate, and it's carried down from family, traditions to family members, and their kids have gone and their grandkids have gone through centuries.
Because you go with your dad, don't you? You go with your dad to the game.
No. To be fair, I go by myself. So I do.
I
go by myself. But I sit next to this family of 4 who have gotten to know, from my season ticket. I've got to know a few more people in my season ticket seats. So that's why rugby is like that. It's to engage with other people and to enjoy the game.
Yeah, absolutely. A big penalty for the Dragons in the 22, right in front of the posts for them. We'll get to your question, Kevin, in just a second. We'll see what the Dragons decide to do here. Big decision for the Dragons. I think they're going for the posts. I think they're going to get something on the board. Well, try to. Sam Davis is going to look to get their first points of the game.
Interesting. I think it'll be easy 3 points.
Yeah, well, with the win, though, who knows?
Imagine he missed it.
So Sam Davis.
Oh, he's missed it.
He's missed it. He didn't even take his time with the kick.
Oh my goodness!
He didn't even take his time. He literally, for those who aren't watching the game, he's literally gone, put the ball down, stepped back 3 steps, and just kicked it straight away. He's not taking his time. He's not had someone hold the ball. He's probably about 10 meters out. He's probably about 10 meters out, tiny bit to the right side of the post, and he sliced it and he's missed it. Is that the worst kick I've ever seen? It's probably up there. It probably is up there.
You have to think the conditions are playing a part, or I don't know, but seriously, that is poor.
And to make that decision to go for the post and not go for the corner, and then you're missing a kick like that. Do you think you could have got that?
I could have got that, bro. Seriously.
I think I could have got it as well. And I played scrum half when I played, so I didn't kick.
And I did kick a wee bit, my school days.
So Billy Burns sends that down from the penalty at the breakdown. That's a huge let-off for Ulster. Will Johnny Sexton make the next World Cup? I think he will. Do you think he will?
Well, that's the question that's been had. Like, look at Joey Carberry against France. It was his first cap. It was this big test for him, and he freaking stepped up. He stepped up to the plate. That gives me confidence that we don't have to rely on Sexton. I don't think this gives Farrell the option maybe of resting Sexton in a few games, and then he can come off the bench and give Carberry that chance. Look at Carberry. He did things different to what Sexton did against France, but it worked, and it was a very good performance from Carberry, and I want that going forward. I want a bit of rotation from the both of them. Because Sexton is getting a bit older. He's still good. But especially for this World Cup, you need to give Carberry more minutes. You have to give Carberry more minutes. Yeah.
So would you say that Carberry is the second choice fly half? Not someone like a Jack Carty or I don't know who else would be there, Billy Burns, someone like that?
Oh, without doubt. After France, without doubt. He's 26.
And New Zealand last year as well with that kick.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Carberry's 26. I think Carberry is going to be the next fly half, hopefully. And hopefully he can get those consistently, but he needs minutes. I hope that Farrell gets some more minutes compared to Billy Burns and keeping Sexton on all the time. Let's just hope that Carberry can rotate with Sexton going forward before the World Cup.
I think the thing for Carberry, though, is he needs to stay fixed. He's had so many injuries over the years, hasn't he? Also,
to be fair, look at Sexton's injury record for Ireland.
Yeah,
look at Sexton's injury record. You know what I mean?
Yeah, very true. Dragons with the ball then here on the 10-meter line of Ulster. Ulster just can't win their line out at the minute. I mean, I think the wind's got worse now, to be honest. It looks like
it's not, you thought it's improved, but the reality is, mate, it's never going to improve. It's a very bad day.
Yeah. Sayuli is on for Bateman in the front row for the Dragons, so that change has gone through. There's actually a good crowd down at Rodney Parade, considering the conditions, which is good to see.
I'm sure the ones under the roof are very happy not to get wet.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that with the regions, you can obviously do the standing. And I know at Parc Scarlets that there's one side of the stadium which is just so open. And I mean, if it's raining, you're just going to get wet. Like you're just going to get soaked in.
Bro. I had a season ticket the very first time I got one, but it was standing. That was like 2 seasons ago. And I just thought to myself, I'm not going to renew it there because I just thought I don't want the option to get wet in any sort of game that happens. So I just thought I'm going to go under the roof and I'm going to sit. And I'm kind of grateful I did that.
Just out of interest, how much does a season ticket at Ulster cost?
For seating or for standing?
For seating.
Do you want to name a price? I mean, you're talking about £300.
All right, that's not bad though, compared to some places I know.
If you look at the grandstand, the main stand you see on TV, the grandstand is like, I don't know, 500. But sure, it's all good. I'm grateful I got that seat. I've gone to know more people than before.
And does that include just URC games, or does that include European games as well?
I was going to mention that actually. Do you know what the European Cup are doing for the Toulouse game, the big last 16 game against Toulouse? I don't think they didn't do this last times. They've done it in previous years, but they're going to give me and fans tomorrow morning the chance to renew your season ticket seat for that big game at home, which I'm going to be doing. So it looks like we're going to get the options of renewing our season ticket seats for these kind of big games, especially hopefully for the home quarters if we get past Toulouse.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can just see some of the people in the crowd; they look absolutely soaked. So,
are they not under the roof, or is that just open too?
I think some of it is open and some of it's under the roof, but I think a lot of the wind is still whipping under the roof, though. Scrum to Ulster here, just inside the Dragons' half. They have had the dominance at the scrum, and it begins to move.
Well, to be fair, look at that stand. They're on TV. I think that's more roofy. Yeah.
Kick over by Billy Burns. Not a bad kick. A lovely kick.
Go on.
Now, did the Dragons man get a touch on that? I don't think he did.
I think for me that was still a decent kick.
It's still a very good kick in the conditions as well.
Yeah. Right.
Let's have a look. Did he get a touch on this?
No.
No, he didn't. No, he let it go. So line out to the Dragons, 5 meters out, pressure on this line out. Elliot D throws it. The Dragons do manage to win it.
Oh, Bradley Roberts.
What do you think about Bradley Roberts leaving Ulster? Are you sad to see him go? Because he doesn't start for Ulster, does he? So is it more of a case that, do you know what? Best of luck to him.
I think he came from we honestly thought if he didn't get that Welsh Cup, he would have been something for Ulster going forward. He got the Welsh Cup. He's going to go to the Dragons. I think at this stage, for where Ulster are in the season, hopefully competing, for the United Rugby Championship or even the European Cup, I think Bradley Roberts is a really good backup to Rob Herring. You know what I mean? And I would take that for the rest of the season, to be fair. Let's just hope that Bradley Roberts can actually finish on a high for Ulster.
Well, there he is, carrying the ball nicely. Ulster beginning to put some nice passing together here, holding on to the ball just outside of 22.
Go on.
What about Chadsey McCluskey? Oh, who did that come off? And it came off an Ulsterman in at the end. Obviously, JJ Hanrahan is heading to the Dragons next season. What do you make of him? He's an Irishman, of course, been playing out in Clermont. Do you think that's a good signing for the Dragons?
I think so. I mean, he's been flip-flopping every club he's been at. He's come from Munster, so he did. That's a good sign for Dragons. Hopefully they'll go good fly half in him, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I like Sam Davis as a fly half. He never quite made it at the Ospreys because Dan Biggar was there at the time. And I still have my question marks over Sam Davis. I don't think he's at international level, but I think for the Dragons he's good. But JJ Hanrahan is definitely a step up on Sam Davis, I think. Scrum to the Dragons then. We're going to have a lovely reset of the scrum.
I did.
20 minutes to go, though. Still 12 points to 0 to Ulster. I'd have to say the Ulster bench has made a big difference already. Players coming on.
I think with players sort of stand fit, like you look at that Ulster bench, it's really, really good. Like compared to maybe Munster or Connacht.
Yeah. Well, let's have a look at that bench. Let me just get it up and get rid of that. I mean, Bradley Roberts has come on. Moore has come on. You still got Ian Madigan who could come on. There are options all over there who could come on and make a difference in this game if you need them to do that.
Especially look at Matty Ray, who's come back from injury. He's a really good player as well. And look, Julian Vermeulen's not in the squad, or even who else? John Cooney's not on the squad yet. But it's pretty good to see our depth in a good way.
Absolutely. And for the Dragons, I mean, you're looking at the bench. We've already seen Rodri Williams come on, and we've seen a few changes. We've got Misaki Dodge who's come on. I think George Young has come on, but the depth there for the Dragons just isn't there. And the quality just isn't there. That's just the reality, unfortunately. And it makes it really tough, especially when you're losing in these conditions. You're looking at your bench. You want someone to come on and make a difference, and it's difficult to see that. Oops, let me just change that.
Mm-hmm. There we go. That's why whenever a depth like Ulster comes on, you just know it's going to hopefully stick well together.
Absolutely. A box kick sent up by Nathan Doak. It's a good one as well. But it's there for Baker, who comes forward for the Dragons.
Also to mention from the bench, we don't even have Jody Murphy, and I read that he's back from injury. He had a very, very long injury, young Jody Murphy. Yeah, and I think at one point he was our starting 7, but it looks like it's going to be Marcus Ray who's sort of done that well. Yeah. I hope Jody Murphy gets some minutes now going forward, because I do feel like he has still has a lot to offer.
Yeah, definitely. I've completely forgotten what I was going to say. Oh, yeah. I feel like the Dragons are kind of playing in the wrong areas of the field. Although the conditions are bad, sometimes you just got to boot the ball down the field. Just get it down the field, not playing in your own 22, because you're not going to go the length of the field. Line out, though, to the Dragons.
Oh, well.
Just inside their own half. And I think we can have some more changes here for Ulster. It looks like we are.
Yeah, Sam. It looks like the Cormac's going to come on for after his long injury. So fair play to the lad. Good to see him.
Yeah, and it's the name of the player that I cannot pronounce, but I'll give it a go when his name comes up. Who's coming on?
It's
okay. Let's try this. So Ray is off for McCann, and Carter is off for Isichukui. We'll go with that.
Okay, we'll go with Isichukui.
We'll try that. I'm sure
it's hard. It's hard.
It is really hard.
I must check where he's from. Actually, I'm gonna check where he's from.
Okay. Or knocked on by the Dragons there, by Ulster there. Sorry. And Rob having not in the same league as Dan Sheehan, according to Vincent. What do you make of that?
I mean, not in the same league. It's hard to say that because Hearn's got a bit more experience to Sheehan, to be fair. So.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see that battle. I mean, that's the beauty of this Irish squad now, is the depth that there is. There's just quality players in each position who can come on. Like we saw James Lowe play for Leinster yesterday after returning from injury and scoring a wonder try against the Ospreys. I mean, you even look at like someone like, as you said, a Kieran Frawley or a Harry Byrne or who else is there? Who else played yesterday? Jimmy O'Brien at fullback. You know, they're not even near the national team at the minute, but they are fantastic players.
Ross Maloney as well, to be fair.
Yeah.
He's a good flock for Leinster.
Yeah, so the squad depth is just ridiculous.
I've got his full name.
Okay, let's hear it then.
Cormac. His name is actually Cormac, so it is. But it's hard. It's Chukawu. Cormac is Chukawu. Cormac is Chukawu.
All right, we'll go with that. Sean O'Farrell says Ross Byrne is another one who's not involved in the Irish squad, though he is someone who's been at 10 for Leinster for a long time. When Sexton's not playing, he obviously starts. So there's a lot of options, and even at 9, you've got someone like Luke McGrath, who's not even in the squad, who plays regularly for Leinster. You got someone like John Cooney, Nathan Doak, Kieran Marmion at Connacht, who played 200 games for Connacht yesterday as they beat the Scarlets.
Yeah.
So the squad depth is just ridiculous.
That's why the game against Leinster in a few weeks for Ulster at home is it's still hard. It's still hard anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Talbot Davis is on for the Dragons. Youngster coming on. 15 minutes or so to go in this one. Still 12 points to nil. Dragons win the line out inside the Ulster half. Some good passing going on here. It seems like the teams have maybe adapted a little bit better to the conditions now. Both teams beginning to pass it about. As I say that, Ulster knock it on.
No, I don't think it was knocked on, was it?
I'm not too sure. Maybe I was wrong there. Dragons coming through the forwards here, though. I still can't believe Sam Davis missed that kick. A horrific miss. Real horrific miss. All turned over, though.
Oh, well done, Cormac. And he lost it again.
He his full name again.
I call him Cormac. I don't call his surname.
We'll go with Cormac. Sounds about right.
That's what I would do. Like, seriously, I wouldn't call him. If it was a really tough surname, I wouldn't call his surname. I would just call him Cormac.
I remember one game. I think it was the World Cup in 2011, and I'm pretty sure Ireland had Russia in their World Cup group, and I felt so sorry for the commentator.
He couldn't remember any of the surnames.
So many names. Like I don't even want to try and say them. There we go. Interesting debate about the World Cup, though. Obviously, the next World Cup's in France in 2023. Then it looks likely like it's going to be in Australia in 2027. But Ireland have never had a World Cup. So what's going on there?
You hope. Look, you hope it's coming. You hope it's coming down the line.
Yeah.
Like hopefully it's in the 2030s. But the reality is, you'll have good stadiums in Ireland. Not only will you have the 4 provinces. I don't know if in the World Cup you have to get past the 25,000 mark. If that's true, to make so you have Fulham Park. I don't know if the sports ground could be developed by that time. You have Ravenhill. You have the RDS. You'll have look, Bradley Roberts here.
Lovely run from Bradley Roberts there on the open.
Chancey,
we'll get back to that debate. McCluskey carrying well. Chancey, penalty though to the Dragons. So you've got Ravenhill, you've got Thomond Park, you've got the RDS, you've got
and also you could have the potential of a few other grounds. You could have Crow Park, you could have this ground in Belfast called Casement Park, which they hope to up the attendance record, which is going to be a big GA ground over 30,000. What else is after that? So that's around 6 to 7 stadiums. I don't know if that's the limit for grounds in the World Cup. Like Australia, it doesn't surprise me, but I like the World Cups when it's around France or England or say Spain, because you're more home to home and you're getting up at decent times to watch all the games. To be fair, apart from if you're going to be Australia, you have to get up so early to watch the games. And
it was like the one in Japan. I remember getting up for one game. I think it was Namibia against Italy at like 5 in the morning. I was questioning the point of life doing it.
I wouldn't have done it, mate. That's why I don't like those. That's why I don't like those World Cups over there. They're far too early.
Yeah, it's an opportunity to grow the game in those countries. You look at how Japan.
For example, Ireland played New Zealand in the quarterfinal, and that was like a 11 o'clock a.m. kickoff, and I just thought I'm not going to go to the pub because it's just going to be too quiet. Yeah,
true. So there was an advantage there for the Dragons, but they'll come back for the original penalty. Not long to go now in this game, about 12 minutes or so. You'd say probably Ulster have managed to win this game. It's not been a great game at all.
No. So I take any sort of point anyway to get the deficit to watch Leicester.
Yeah, exactly. Sam Davis not making any ground with that kick at all, to be honest. Line out though to the Dragons.
I'm pretty sure Ulster's next game is home to Cardiff on the 4th of March.
Well, let's have a look at Whoa.
Oh, Balogun.
Oh, Balogun. Did he knock it forward? Did it go backwards? Referee says it's gone backwards.
Lucky.
Yeah. All right, let's have a look at the next fixtures then.
Yes, let's go.
So we have. So we got Ulster against Cardiff. That's on Friday night. That's a 25-8 kickoff. I assume you'll be going to that because it's at home at Ravenhill.
I'm at every home game.
Yeah. And also at the same time, you got Edinburgh taking on Connacht. That's obviously up in Edinburgh at the Dam Health Stadium next to Murrayfield. On the Saturday at lunchtime, you got Benetton taking on Leinster. Then you have Munster taking on Dragons at Thomond Park. And then you've got Scarlets taking on Glasgow in the evening. On the Sunday, then you have Ospreys taking on Zebra on the Sunday. So those are the games next weekend. No real huge. You'd have to say.
No, it's actually 2 weeks. To be fair.
Yeah, 2 weeks. You'd have to say that the biggest game there probably is Ulster Cardiff. Maybe you could put Scarlets Glasgow as this fairly sizable game.
I don't know. I think Edinburgh Connacht's one to watch as well. I think Connacht will not lie down.
Yeah, very true. Very true. And then the week after that, on the 20th, the week after that. No, we got a 2-week break after that. So we'll have the European games obviously involved after the Six Nations. So lots of rugby to look forward to.
Oh, definitely. But we do have a big game in Ulster. Leinster said the week after that. I don't know if that's the only game in the Iron Rugby Championship during that Six Nations 5th round. But
I'm not too sure. Some people beginning to leave the ground. They look absolutely soaked. Billy Burns is off. Ian Madigan is coming on. Nice. Let's have a look. Come on here. Munster supporters but support all Irish provinces were not playing Munster. I think that's what most fans do, not only in Ireland but here in Wales as well. I want to see the Welsh regions do well. So at the end of the day, it's going to benefit the national team. And you want to see players playing, youngsters coming through. And that's the thing. Like the URC's original plan at the start of the season was that there'd be no URC games on during the course of the Six Nations, but because of COVID and postponements, they've had to do it. But it does give opportunities for youngsters to play and have a chance to play.
It does, without a doubt. I mean, but still, look at Ulster. They've still got their nearly got first team out, but just because
it's very strong, very very strong team.
Because I think only Ian Henderson starts from Ulster for Ireland.
Yeah. Oh, Sam Davis with a lovely little kick over the top and gathers it. If the Dragons are going to get anything from this game, you really have to start thinking they need to do something now. I mean, they'd have to get 2 converted tries to win the game. Audrey Williams sticks the little kick through.
Oh, well cashed.
Where's that bounce going? Baker carries forward.
Good carry.
I think Audrey Williams at 9 has made a difference since coming on. He sped the game up quite a bit from a Dragons point of view. Ball a bit loose here. Nathan Owen picks it up. Tackled by Bradley Roberts. Just over the halfway line, the Dragons here. But penalty, though.
It's a scrum to the Dragons.
I think it's scrum to the Dragons, knock on. Oh, tackle without the ball, I think.
Yeah.
So 7.5 minutes to go. Young is on for Baker in the back row, so more changes for the Dragons. If we begin to look forward to the next round of the Six Nations, then I'll give you predictions for each of the games. Scotland against France, first of all. What do you make of that game at Murrayfield? France don't have a great record at Murrayfield. Scotland obviously lost this week. France won. So how do you see that game going?
I mean, it's as much as I would love to see Scotland win against France at Murrayfield next week. I think that's a very big game. I'm looking forward to that match, to be fair. So I think France will just about win it. It's going to be. I think Scotland will definitely be up for the game. I think France will win by 4 points.
Oh, okay. So close one. The next one is probably the biggest game of the weekend. England against Wales down at Twickenham, 4:45 kickoff. It's a tea time kickoff. How do you see this one going?
Now, unfortunately, when I look at the Six Nations table and where I would see things going for Ireland and going forward to make sure if they were to win the title, I would need. Wales have lost one. and England lost 1, and we have yet to play England. So for Wales, I'm sorry, I would want England to win, but I do see England as a neutral winning by 29 points to 19.
Oh, wow. So quite a big win. I'm not going to give my predictions now. I'll do it close to the time, but you know who I'm going to back to win, being a Welshman. So we'll move on to the next one. Ireland against Italy. Do you think there's any chance that Italy can do anything in this game? Let's say that Ireland do take a lot. Is there any way that Italy could even get a losing bonus in this game?
I really don't think so. That's me being honest. I think Ireland are going to absolutely smash them, especially in that first half. I mean, them lot are going to want to, especially the ones who don't get starting positions from the bench, they'll want to make a point. Piero Mani want to make a point. I think it'll be near enough, strong enough again for Ireland. I think we need to build a winning side, especially if the side go for the World Cup. I do see Italy struggling very much in Dublin. I think we're going to smash them by, and to be fair, it will not surprise me. I'm going to go for an Ireland 65 points to 15.
Jeez, really?
Yes.
Wow. I mean, Sean is saying something similar, 50 points to 0, he's saying. So
I think Ireland have got the opportunity to really smash this Italy team and to get us a record maybe score. Yeah, like Japan. Look at Japan. Look at Japan and look at Argentina. That's good examples.
Yeah, very true. Calix asks, how's the reffing today? Pirardi is probably our Italy best ref. He hasn't had to make many decisions. I mean, the only decision he had to make was that one with Nathan Doak, where he was held up over the line, but that was pretty obvious. On the whole, it's been it's been a game where it's been up and down. Although the ref wants to have a word with Misake Dodge here, they're going to have a look at something actually.
Okay.
Not sure what they're looking for here. There's about 5 minutes to go until half time.
Yeah, this is interesting what's happening here.
What are they having a look at here? I do not know.
I mean,
let me just grab my controller.
It's on the Ulster. He tackled the Ulster 23, but did he go in for a rough tackle?
So it's a no wrap tackle, I think. Okay, so Misake Dodge just come in. He's caught the Ulster man as he's come down.
Oh, he landed hard, number 23.
He's got to wrap his arm, so there's no wrap tackle. Whether he's fallen into it, I'm not sure.
Ooh. Wrap tackle, yeah.
Well, the problem is he's turned his shoulder in, hasn't he? He's turned his shoulder in. I think there's going to be, it could be a red because it's contact with the head.
And he did land, Schumer did land very hard with that wrap tackle. It wouldn't surprise me if there was some. It wouldn't surprise me if there was some sort of card available. Sure, not here.
I think because he's falling, he might get away with it not being a red.
I think it may be a yellow.
I think it's going to be a yellow card here. So with 5 minutes to go, I think Misake Dodge, the Fijian prop, is going to be sent to the bin. Referee saying he's really lucky that it's a yellow card. So Misake Dodge sent to the bin. And that's the end of his game. I think probably the right decision, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so the right decision there. So there you go, Calix. We didn't have anything for the ref to do, and they certainly had something to do. But maybe a chance here for Ulster to get one more try before the end of this game. If they're quick about it, they could get 2 tries. But not the greatest kick from Ian Madigan there. But chance here anyway.
More. Also look at another score, but it looks like we're gonna get the 4 points and we're gonna tie it up with Leinster at the top.
So chance here for Ulster. I thought Connacht were lucky yesterday for getting to play with Connacht for 2 yellows. They took their chances. They did, and the Scarlets just didn't. Scarlets should have won that game having that extra man, but they just didn't take their chances. Connacht now are a very, very competitive side. Obviously, they won it in 2015 under Pat Lam, I think it was, back in 2015. But, Scarlets just didn't take their chances. And You could see how frustrated Dwayne Peel was at the end of the game in his post-match interview. He was not happy. He really was not happy. And just really basic errors in that game. Here come Ulster, though. James Hume, big carry from him. And Ulster will want that last try in this game. Advantage to Ulster just outside of 22. They've lost it, but they do have the penalty. You going for the corner here? Is there any point going for the
we'll go. Go for the corner, I think.
Yeah. So chance for Ulster. I mean, if they're very quick about it, they could get 2 tries, but it's very unlikely. 3.5 minutes to go.
No. What's he? The Nathan was he wants to kick it. He wants to kick it. You see, that's very weird. But
he's been named man of the match. What do you make of that decision? It's difficult to pick someone, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Nathan deservedly man of the match again. You know what I mean? He's really coming into force, especially as a 20-year-old or 19-year-old.
So line out, 3 minutes to go then for the Dragons. It's a good kick. They're about 5 meters out, so they'll look to try and push over again if they can win this, which they do.
Not straight.
Not straight, though. And so scrum to the Dragons. How many lineouts have we had that weren't straight? I'll be interested to know. And let me see if I can find the stats for this game so far, because it's been something else.
It definitely has.
Let's have a look. The stats for this match. I wonder how many knock-ons there have been. Let's have a look. Penalties. Dragons have conceded 14 penalties. Ulster 6. It's not telling us. Oh well. But still, you know, I mean, Nick Timley's put in 18 tackles in this game, which is pretty impressive. Marcus Ray's won 2 turnovers.
Marcus Ray,
I mean, tackle success rates.
It's hard to see how whenever Jordan Murray can get in the squad, because you look like Marcus Ray, perform well.
Yeah. So not long to go now. What I'm going to do now, folks, just before the end of the game, is drop a link to Stephen's channel in the chat. So make sure to head over there and subscribe. Are you going to do a match reaction after this one, or are you going to leave it?
I don't know. I think it's such a poor game, but also like I think I'll just leave. I'll leave it for today, and I'm waiting for the Ireland. I'm waiting for Ireland again next week. Absolutely.
So I'll drop a link to Stephen's channel in the chat. Head over there and subscribe. Penalty to Dragons at the scrum there. And head over there, subscribe, get him to 400 subs. He's so close, so let's do that. Stephen's channel in the links in the chat. So do head over there after the game and subscribe to his channel.
Please do.
So chance here for the Dragons to potentially work this one down the field a bit. In these dying, we probably got about a minute left, something like that, and half a minute. It was a free kick, so they kicked it straight off. So, I mean, Ulster, if you're Ulster here, do you try and play for the third try? Do you say, do you know what?
I don't know. I don't know, man. We're not going to get the bonus point. I think I would take the 4 points anyway. Do you know what I mean? And we'd just get the win. I think it's a good win, especially under these conditions.
Yeah. Ooh, but
Gold Dragons have a chance here. Well, they're going to have a chance here, Dragons, to maybe get a score. Who knows?
Well, they could potentially get a losing bonus point. That's what they'd want. I know they can't. No, they're too far out, aren't they? They can't even get a losing bonus point here. I still can't believe Sam. They've knocked it on, advantage to Ulster.
And dropped.
So we're into the red here. Game is pretty much done and dusted. We are going to have one final scrum.
I think he's just saying to time's up referee, why are you playing the scrum?
Yeah, can we just go in? It's cold and wet and horrible.
Yeah, exactly. Bradley Roberts will need to get. It looks like Bradley Roberts will need to get used to that pitch because it's going to be his own in the next few months.
Probably regrets joining the Dragons now with the weather being the way it is there.
Who knows?
But there we go. So final scrum of the game. Thank you everyone who has joined us today and stuck with us through this awful game. If you have enjoyed, subscribe, like, as always. Good scrum from Ulster. Really big scrum advantage. Are they just going to kick it off? Yes, they do. Ian Madigan has said that is enough, and that will be the final score. Oh, no. Are they going to come back for the penalty?
What, referee? No.
If I'm Ian Madigan, I just go for the kick here. You know, you're never going to get it on Nathan Doak.
Yeah, just go for kick. Get Doak to kick.
Yeah, they are going to as well. Nathan Doak is going to go for the post.
Because he knew that Ian Madigan was literally wanting to get it out there, and so why not just kick it away? If it doesn't go over, it doesn't go over. We still win the game.
Yeah, exactly. So Nathan Doak's going to attempt a kick from about probably 50-odd meters. The wind will be behind him, so it's not impossible. It's a tough kick, though.
Well, it's doable, but it'd be very hard, and especially under these conditions.
Yeah. Let's see. Nathan Doak stepping up here. Let's see if he can get this to finish off this game. 2 minutes over the red now. He steps up, he kicks. He's got the distance, I think.
Oh,
he's in the post.
Oh.
Until the Dragons will keep playing. That'd have been a hell of a kick, but the Dragons still have the ball here. But
he's had enough. He's had enough for the weather.
And he's just had enough. He wants to get a hot drink in him, and he's had enough of the game. So that is the full-time score. Ulster do win here at Rodney Parade. Not a classic at all. Full-time score, Dragons 0, Ulster 12. Was it just the case today, Stephen, about just getting the win? Just get the win. And it doesn't matter how it happened.
It really doesn't matter. We've gone the 4 points. We've gone to the Dragons in very, very hard conditions here today, and we've gotten the job done. And you can't really blame the performances today if they were very mixed, because the weather was crap today. Weather we haven't seen in I don't know how long. But I'm very happy, and we move on to Cardiff, and I'm very happy we got the 4 points.
Absolutely, yeah. Very comfortable win, really, for Ulster in the end. Dragons didn't really offer that much. Ulster move on to Cardiff. The Dragons, they play, let's find out. The Dragons next have got to play against... Oh, they've got to go to Munster, so it doesn't get much easier for them. So they go to Munster on the 5th of March. We're going to leave it there. Thank you very much for watching, folks. Stephen, always a pleasure having you on, mate. And,
no problem.
I'm sure I'll get you on throughout the course of the rest of the season. And next weekend, loads of watch-alongs, of course, for all the Six Nations and previews going out over the next few days as well, ahead of the games. If you have enjoyed, subscribe to myself. Check out Stephen's channel. I have dropped a link in the chat. Head over there and subscribe as well. And we will see you later on. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you soon. Bye.